Good afternoon or good morning, as the case may be. My name is Frank O'Brien. I am a benefits educator here at Wespath Benefits and Investments. And today joining me is Todd Creviston, another benefits educator here at Wespath. He's also our health promotion manager, and Cheryl Hatcher, our senior benefit plan specialist. Welcome to the sixth and final retirement webinar that we are providing for the retiree class of 2022. It has been our pleasure to provide these webinars for you, as well as one-on-one benefit education consultations if we have met already, and you'll hear more about that if we have yet to meet. And certainly if any of your annual conferences have provided any webinars or seminars, it was a pleasure to participate in those as well. For today's purposes, we will, let me do a little housekeeping first. Sorry, we will record this session. There are materials on your toolbar. There are 5 PDF documents that are available to you that you can download during the course of this webinar. We do have a question box also on the toolbar. There's a chat and a question box. We encourage you to use the question box. While I am presenting, Todd will field the questions. When Todd is presenting, I will field the questions. And we will talk about these one-on-one benefit education consultations at the tail end of this presentation. At the conclusion of the presentation, within a day or so, the recorded webinar plus the one-on-one benefit education consultation link will be provided to you. So now we can proceed with the presentation. Today's agenda: the 2022 retirement process. Hold on a second, please. I don't know what's happening here. Sorry, folks. I'm having a little bit of a technical difficulty here. Here we go. Sorry. We'll talk about the 2022 retirement process. We'll do a refresher of the Wespath retirement plans, all of the employer-sponsored retirement plans over the course of time, as well as the UMPIP. And then we'll talk about your lifetime income options, those benefits that you will receive and elect in the form of an annuity with an annual cost of living adjustment option that you will also elect. And when I'm completed with that part of the presentation, I'll pass it over to Todd, who will speak about your account balance options. These are the account balances where you will be able to decide how, when, and how much retirement income you want to derive from those account balances. Todd will walk you through that and spend some time talking about our life stage retirement income program. And there'll be other topics of interest that he will visit as well: housing allowance exclusion, benefit processing, other resources that are available to you at Wespath. So the retirement process. For 2022, the retiree class will be making their benefit elections. You will be making your benefit elections through benefits access. Your annual conference has provided to us what we call the intends to retire date, 7/1/22. Because we have that date on benefit access, when you go to your account summary screen, you see a picture of a man with glasses and a link that you click on to make those elections. Over the last several years, modifications to that electronic election process have been made, making it simpler, easier to see and understand, navigate, intuitive terms like that they use. So we think we have simplified the retirement process. But please note, for those who are looking to receive your benefits come July 1st, 2022, you need to make your elections no later than 3 o'clock Central Time on Thursday, June 30th. If you have your elections there on the system at that time, we will come, collect them, and begin the process of providing your retirement income. If nothing is there yet, then we will not have anything to process for you, and you'll have to wait until the following month to do so. What we like to tell people is put something on your calendar, like on June 25th, June 20th, something that's going to ring and bell and make a lot of noise, just to remind you that you're getting close to that June 30th deadline, and to go ahead, take a look at your elections. If you're comfortable with them, let them be. If you had them make them, then go ahead and make those elections. But even though we have the benefit access platform for you to make your elections, we do have the retirement team available to you. This is a dedicated group of people at Wespath that work with this year's retiree class and our retirees in general. You can see that phone number down there, 800-883-4078. If you have any questions, you're trying to figure out how to make an election, or if you made one, how to change it or cancel it, call the retirement team. They are there to help you. To remind those people of how the provisions of retirement are viewed through the Book of Discipline, we have what we call the normal retirement provision. This is age 65 or 40 years of service, normal retirement. The key word here is or. If you're age 62 and you have 40 years of service, you qualify for normal retirement. But if you only have 30, 25, 35 years of service, but you are age 65, you qualify for the normal retirement provision. Early retirement, age 62 or 30 years of service. Same kind of idea here. If you're age 60 with 30 or more years of service, the early retirement provision is available to you. If you only have 25 years of service, but you're age 62, the early retirement provision is available to you. And I will speak a little bit about what early retirement means in the context of some of the benefits that you are eligible for and may receive. There's a mandatory retirement age of age 72, and then there's a 20-year retirement rule. So for those who are in ministry or have been in ministry, they're in their mid-50s, they're moving on somewhere else, but they've attained 20 years of service or more. They can retire under the 20-year retirement rule, but they will not be able to access their retirement accounts until early retirement age of age 62. What do you need to do if you are retiring this year? Well, benefit access, again, that internet platform for you to take a look at. You want to verify that your personal information is correct. For those who are married, you want to make sure that your spouse's information is correct. Then you also want to verify that your clergy service record is correct. And why is the accuracy of this record so important? There are several things that occur relative to the service time that you have been credited with through your annual conference, here at Wespath. You're going to hear about how years of service are a part of the formula that drives the defined benefit from the Clergy Retirement Security Program. Also, for those who are eligible for the Comprehensive Protection Plan in retirement, it is years of service that determine your eligibility for CPP death benefits in retirement. There may be several other things within the context of your annual conference where service is also in play, like a retiree health care plan that your annual conference may provide. But lastly, this is your ministry, and we think, having your clergy service record truly represent your ministry is something we think is important. Other things to do: review your life stage investment management profile. Life stage investment management is the program that we have where we tailor investment allocations for you. You want to make sure that you understand how that is set up for you. Either you've done it yourself or you've defaulted into the program. You can see how we have that structured on Benefit Access. Run your own retirement income projections. Many of you, if you've gone to webinars that your annual conference has provided, or if you've had one-on-one benefit education consultations, you've seen and received a retirement projection. But you can run these on Benefit Access. On Benefit Access, we have various tools for you to take advantage of. The projection. What forms of annuity are you considering? What COLA percentage are you considering? Are you considering life stage retirement income or self-managing installments? How that looks. A retirement readiness tools where you can put in some other information at a kind of big level, high level in terms of other assets you may have, other debt obligations you have, what you think your healthcare expenses may be, and take a look at that in the context of a bigger picture. You can see your information, your spouse's information, that clergy service record, life stage investment management, but also your beneficiary designations. You can see them on Benefit Access. We encourage people, it doesn't really matter if they're near retirement or not, but we encourage people to occasionally take a look at their beneficiary designations, make sure they are in good working order. Because if something tragic happens to you, you and your spouse, and they're not in good working order, they go to your estate, probate court, costs fees, takes years to come out, and then the judge determines how it's going to come out. No offense to judges, but it may not actually represent how you would want that to happen. So we encourage people to take time. It's on that checklist to take a look at your beneficiary designations, not just Wespath, any life insurance you may have, any retirement arrangements your spouse may have, areas like that. As far as health benefits are concerned, Well, you want to speak with your annual conference. This is certainly an important conversation to have with them and to understand how retiree healthcare, if available to you, will work. And if not, they can guide you into other areas and directions to get you set up for retirement healthcare. There's a retirement checklist. You want to notify your Board of Ordained Ministry within 120 days. You want to notify your bishop, notify your cabinet. My sense is all of this has already been done, but we continue to kind of refresh this as we go along. Lastly, though, make a call to EY, and maybe you have not done that yet. EY, Ernst & Young. EY Financial Planning Services is an organization that we partner up with that provides holistic, comprehensive household financial planning services for all of us at Wespath. They can talk on topics that are very specific on a financial nature, getting a mortgage, leasing or buying a car. But in the context of retirement, we tell people that if you use EY, they can give you a financial planning, retirement income planning, tax efficiency planning. You have the housing allowance tax exclusion. So you can work with them, provide them all the information they're looking for, and they can model some scenarios for you as to how your monthly income can and will look in retirement. So we encourage that. Todd will speak a little bit more on EY later on. With all this information, there is a document we have provided now, the checklist for retirement. Go through this, tick it off as you go through. Hopefully most of these things have been done yet. If not, you'll see this as a way of catching up on things you may not have the chance to address just yet. Now we've kind of gotten through some of the administration of all this, some of the things to be thinking about, and now we can start to talk about the income that you will receive and where it will come from. So first we'll start with a refresher of the Wespath retirement plans. Here you see all of what I call the employer-sponsored retirement plans over time. It's kind of a walk down memory lane. Starting at the bottom, you have the pre-82 plan. It used to be called the Minister's Reserve Pension Fund, for those of you who may be long tenured in ministry. After that plan, we had the Ministerial Pension Plan. And then in 2007, we rolled out the Clergy Retirement Security Program. But due to a change in what we call the retirement factor that I'll review with you, you see that there are two buttons there. 2007, 2013 is a time frame, and then 2014 plus, and I'll explain why that is shortly. With the CRSP, it's actually a very interesting retirement plan because it is actually two retirement arrangements in one plan. There is a defined benefit, a traditional pension, a formula benefit that provides an annuity for you. But there's also a defined contribution account, employer monies being provided into an account in your name at Wespath and the Wespath funds to help supplement your retirement income. We have the pre-82 plan. Here as well, there are two things going on. This is purely an account balance plan invested in Wespath funds, taking advantage of that program, Life Stage Investment Management. But going into retirement, we take the account balance and we say for 65% of that, you will go and purchase an annuity. But you'll have the additional 35% as an account balance for you to determine how you want to receive your retirement income. And then again, those long tenured, there is the pre-82 plan. Out of this plan, you will receive a monthly benefit. And if you are married, there will be a survivor benefit. That survivor benefit is set by your annual conference. And as you'll hear momentarily, there's two things going on within the pre-82 plan benefit determination as well. But there's one more plan, the voluntary plan, the United Methodist Personal Investment Plan, the UMPIP, or what we like to call Umpip. Put all of those plans together and you can see the combination of the plans. And now we'll go through the different options, benefits that are available to you in the context of these plans. First, we'll talk about your lifetime income options. Lifetime income, if you are single, you'll get this through your lifetime. Once you pass, someone may not be receiving a benefit after that. For those who are married, lifetime income, this is income that will be provided to you and your spouse. Either way, you, the clergy person, cannot outlive this lifetime income. This will come to you in the form of an annuity. We have the defined benefit part of the Clergy Retirement Security Program. The defined benefit You want to take a look at this first. If you have qualified for normal retirement, we recommend you look at this, you make your elections, and you begin to get your benefit come 7/1/22, because the formula is the formula. It's not going to change. For those in early retirement, you're going to hear about some time frames that you may want to consider. If you want to look at the defined benefit component first, it's more complicated. Not to scare you, but it's certainly more involved, because we're going to talk about annuity elections for you and annual cost of living adjustment elections for you. Once you've made those elections and you begin to receive that income, those decisions are irrevocable. You cannot change those decisions. The defined benefit is not a balance. It's not an account balance. It is a formula benefit. And we multiply 3 factors together to derive that benefit. The 3 factors are the denominational average compensation, or DAC or DAC, a retirement factor, either 1.25% or 1%, and then the credited service that you have during that period. So again, your clergy service record accurately reflecting what your time was in these time periods will derive the benefit for you. So what is the DAC? The denominational average compensation. And it is what the words tell us. We look at all full-time appointed clergy and we sum up the compensation, and then we get the number of full-time appointed clergy and we derive an amount of denominational average compensation. This gets used in the calculation of your defined benefit. For this year, it is $75,570. We're always a year ahead, so we know next year will be $76,221. And now the factor that's being used, and that's why, if you remember that table of the employer plans, there were 2 buttons, 2007 to 2013. Here, when the plan first rolled out, this retirement factor was 1.25%. General Conference of 2012 reduced it to 1%. So the formula is the same, but the variable is different in terms of the factor being 1.25% or 1%. And then the credited service. So for our presentation today, we're going to assume individuals have, full service time in all of these time periods. So for 2007 to 2013, that is a 7-year time period. Well, now we're going to do the math for that first tranche of time to derive the defined benefit. We take the denominational average compensation at the time of retirement, so that's $75,570. Here, the retirement factor is 1.25% in 7 full years of service. Do the multiplication, we derive an amount of $66.12. We divide that by 12, and we come up with a per month amount of $551. But that's just that time frame, so we put it to the side. Then we're looking at the second period of service. Here it's January 1, 2014 for today's purposes through June 30th, 2022. And that's 8.5 years of service. So now we're setting up the formula again, the DAC. Now it's a 1% retirement factor, the 8.5 years of service. We multiply this by that, by the other thing. We come up with 6,423. Divide that by 12. Now we have an additional amount of 535. So what we do next is we take those 2 time frames, those 2 amounts, and we add them together. So you can see here that that amount will be 1,086 per month would be the amount. But that's the initial amount. Are there decisions that you can make that may impact that amount? And the answer to that is yes. For those of you who are married, you'll make a decision around the surviving spouse benefit. You'll have different options for that. And then all of you will receive the ability to have a cost of living adjustment attached to that annuity, that minimum of 2%. So the annuity goes up each year by that 2%, but you'll hear about other percentages that are available to you in the COLA. And then early retirement. So I'm going to come back to the early retirement provision. Early retirement is age 62 or 30 years of service. So for the example here, to kind of demonstrate how early retirement works, we have an individual who's 63, exactly 2 years of early retirement. has not met the 40-year of service rule for normal retirement, so early retirement. For each month of early retirement, there is a 0.05% reduction in the amount of benefit that you will receive. So for 1 year, that would be 6%. In our example here, this individual with 2 years has a 12% reduction in the amount of their annuity. So that 1,086 is reduced by the 130 that comes out with that $956. There's some different ways to think about this. You're getting paid for a longer period of time, so that's why we are reducing. And if that reduction doesn't have much meaning for you and you can continue on, you can retire with the early retirement provision and elect your defined benefit annuity. But you can also defer receiving your CRSP DB, defined benefit, until you attain age 65, then you're at the normal retirement age, and then request that annuity. But when you request that annuity, it's going to be calculated as of, for example, 7/1/2022, the year you retire. Your service time stops counting, you've retired. The denominational average compensation in the year you retire gets applied, so 75,570, and then the retirement factor, 1.25 or 1%. But then you derive that full benefit from that point forward, and you're back to the 1,086. So this is where retirement planning, income planning, talking to an EY financial planner or your own financial planner comes into play. The reduction in the benefit may be meaningful, maybe not, and they can help you make that determination. You don't have to wait until you're 65. If you go into early retirement, you can come and get it at any time. It's 0.05% per month, so it just scales along with it if you decide to take that benefit sometime later. Now we have the defined contribution component of the CRSP. And if you recall, how this gets funded is the employer is providing you a 2% of your compensation, required non-matching contribution going into the CRSP DC account, defined contribution account. But for those of you, and hopefully all of you, who are participating in UMPIP at least 1% of your pay, then you get an additional 1% matching contribution. So that's 3% going into the CRSP DC account. You direct the type of contribution that you want to contribute to, before tax, Roth, after tax, and you also direct how you want that money to be invested. You can self-manage using the Wespath funds. You're comfortable with the investment markets. You understand asset types and all that comes into play there. You can go ahead and make your own elections, or again, you can take advantage of life stage investment management, where we're tailoring that investment allocation for you through the long haul of your retirement, now and into the future. It is available as cash distributions, which Todd will review with you. You can roll it over to the UMPIP plan. Really, when you make your election, it will go into the UMPIP plan. You can roll it over to another retirement plan. The caution that we have there is if you put it into another retirement plan, you want to ensure that that retirement plan can provide for you the housing allowance tax exclusion if you need that each year to get your taxes sorted out and you want to take advantage of the housing allowance exclusion. But if you have enough to cover your housing allowance exclusion, you're welcome to roll some of that money out to another retirement plan. You can leave this on account and let it continue to grow in our funds until you attain age 72. That's when the IRS steps in and says it's been deferred for too long. They have required minimum distributions where you have to come in, start taking some distributions so that some taxes starts going back towards the Treasury. And as I indicated, with beneficiary designations, making sure they are in good working order, your account balances with Wespath, your CRSP DC, the MPP 35%, your UMPIP, they will go to your named designated beneficiaries upon your death. So that gets us through the Clergy Retirement Security Program, the defined benefit and the defined contribution. And now we'll spend some time speaking about the Ministerial Pension Plan. And in the context of the Ministerial Pension Plan, I'll speak to the annuity types that are available to you and the COLA percentage, and then wrap up the MPP again, and then finish up with the pre-82 plan. The Ministerial Pension Plan is an account balance plan. It's always been an account balance plan. Back in the day when it was the active employer provided plan, a percentage of your compensation, 10, 11, 12%, was going into an account in your name. Invested in the Wespath funds, and in MPP, we do use the Life Stage Investment Management Program to tailor that investment allocation for you. Because it's the employer-provided plan, providing retirement benefits in the future, it has more of a conservative tilt to it. So we anticipate a 4% annualized rate of return as an assumed rate of return for that. And we're using Life Stage Investment Management, and we tailor that for you over the span of your lifetime. At retirement, 65% of that upon your election will go and purchase an annuity. But that's only 65%. The remaining 35% becomes an account balance for you, and it drops into the account balance area that Todd will review for you to determine how, when, and how much retirement income you want to derive. So with the 65%, here comes the annuities again. You're going to hear about 6 lifetime annuity options. You're going to hear about cost of living adjustment increases that are available to you. And then the 35% is an account balance that you can take as cash distributions over time. So let's look at this annuity for some time. What is it? Well, first, it's a series of payments. And for our purposes, it's a series of monthly payments. These are benefit payments that last through your lifetime or you and your spouse's lifetime if you are married. But once the annuity is done, you are gone, you and your wife are gone, there's no additional benefit paid to anyone else. All of the annuity types provide you with a lifetime of income, and if elected, can continue to your surviving spouse. Here for the life and survivorship annuity options, those for you and a surviving spouse, we have 3 annuity options. They apply to both the MPP and the CRSP plans. And you can see here there's 3 annuity types. There's an amount payable to you and an amount payable to your contingent annuitant or surviving spouse. At the bottom, we have the life and 70%, then there's a life and 85%, and a life and 100%. When we look at the life and 70%, and what that means is you're in retirement, you're moving along, you have the COLA percentage, you pass away before your spouse would receive 70% of what you were getting at that time. That COLA election stays with that annuity through that surviving spouse's lifetime. So you can see here, the life and 70%, it's a $913 payable to you. Upon your passing, it's $639. 70% would go to the contingent annuitant. This doesn't come out simultaneously. It's upon your passing. The life and 85% is now going to go to the surviving spouse. So we reduce the amount that's payable to you. And with the life and 100, you can see you both are receiving the same. So the idea here is the higher the survivorship percentage that you elect, the lower the initial amount payable to you, the clergy person, but the higher the amount that can go to your surviving spouse. There are also 3 single life annuity options. And these are for single individuals, and in certain instances where a retirement plan your plan may want to have a single life annuity option, even if you are married, you can do that. Your spouse has to sign a waiver and consent form for that to happen, kind of waiving their participation in the plan. But for today's conversation, we'll just leave this as single life annuity options for single individuals. Here you can see there are 3 again. There is a life only, single life, just going to get payable to you upon your passing. No one receives any benefit. When you look at the numbers that we just reviewed, the single life only in comparison is the highest of all of them. But we have a life with a 5-year certain option. And what that life with a 5-year certain option means is if there's someone important to you in your life and you go into retirement, and if something tragic were to happen to you, you'd want that individual to get your payments for a period of time. Say it's a niece or a nephew and they're in college and you're helping support that. The way the life with 5-year certain works is you go into retirement, you begin to receive your annuity, you've designated a beneficiary. In the 3rd year, you pass away. For the remaining 2 years, that named designated beneficiary will receive that benefit. After 5 years, no further benefit. Then we have the life with 10-year certain annuity option. Here, same idea, just a longer window. You're in retirement, you get to year 7, you pass away. For the remaining 3 years of that 10-year period, someone will receive that benefit. And then after that, no further benefit to anyone. If you elect one of these 2, but you exceed the 5-year or the 10-year certain period on your own and you pass, no further benefit to anyone. But this is a way in which a single individual can support someone in their family if they so choose while they're receiving their annuity income from Wespath. And we did run these two actuarial tables, and you can see that the amount of reduction as you look at life only, 5-year certain, 10-year certain, is really not that much. The annuity is one of the elections that you will make, but you will also make an election for the annual cost of living adjustment, or COLA. This is an annual increase in your annuity amount. The percentage that you elect will stay with that annuity throughout. You pass, it will stay with your surviving spouse throughout. You can elect a 2%, 3%, 4%, or 5% COLA. I will point out that for this Clergy Retirement Security Program's defined benefit, it is at least 2%, but you have the 2%, 3%, 4%, or 5%. But with the MPP, we actually allow you to do a 0% COLA, and in effect, just kind of have a fixed annuity over time. But you'll see you get the higher amount out of all the numbers, well, out of all the options that you will have. So will the COLA impact your initial benefit? The answer to that is yes, and here's an illustration as to how. The numbers on the left-hand side, the years on the bottom are just for illustrative purposes only. But now we go into retirement. You've taken our normal form of benefit, a life and 70% annuity with a 2% COLA. And you can see, looking at that purple line, it's going up 2% per year. But working with a financial planner or being comfortable doing it on your own, you think, you know what? One or both of these annuities, I want to have a 5% COLA percentage. So I want a higher amount. How would that work? Well, with the 5%, looking at the, I'm going to say orange line, you can see the initial amount that you receive is reduced. It goes down going into retirement, but sometime a decade or more down the road, you begin to receive a higher or greater amount of income with the higher COLA percentage. I indicated for the MPP, you can have a 0% COLA, and illustratively, but this is the case, that coming into retirement, this would provide for you the highest of all the options relative to the COLA percentage. But it's a straight annuity at that stage. It's a fixed annuity. There is no COLA on that. So again, financial planning, but you want to talk that through before you make any elections there. And just to continue the story for the 3% or the 4%, you can see that looking at that purple line, 2%, there's reductions going down, but over time, that 3%, that 4%, as well as that 5% will provide additional income in retirement. So let's say, you know, you have longevity in your family, you have good income going into retirement, you know, you can receive some greater retirement benefits later on when healthcare costs may start to come into play. Just thinking like that wraps around the COLA percentage. Coming back around to the MPP plan, you can leave this on account until age 72, just like the Clergy Retirement Security Program's defined contribution account. You can leave it on account to age 72, then required minimum distributions come in. You will, for the 65%, have the annuity and COLA options we just reviewed to choose from. But you can take the 35% of the account balance and wait on the 35%. So, especially in today's environment with so much uncertainty. Going into retirement and you have the MPP, you do not have to elect receiving your annuity this year from MPP. You can defer receiving that annuity, but you can have that 35% of the account balance roll into the UMPIP, and you could take some distributions out of that, out of the UMPIP plan, while you're waiting for maybe market recovery or better timing to take that 65% annuity. So more options and flexibility available to you in terms of, even though it's 65 and 35 to get to 100, going into retirement, you can treat them differently depending upon your circumstances, your immediate needs, and your longer term planning. You can roll it over to another retirement plan, but again, we just have caution there relative to the housing allowance tax exclusion. You want to make sure you're completely covered with that, or the other retirement plan can provide that tax advantage for you as well. And you will hear of different distribution options momentarily. For those of you who may be long tenured with Wespath and in your ministry, there is the pre-82 plan, or the Minister's Reserve Pension Fund. This was the plan that was in place before MPP and long before CRSP. There are two ways in which we look at determining the amount of benefit that you will receive. For most of you, when you were in the pre-82 plan, an amount was being contributed into an account in your name to fund that future benefit, that future annuity you were to receive from the Minister's Reserve Pension Fund. So that account has been there and it has grown over time. But the base formula in the pre-82 plan also remains, and it's a formula benefit calculation, another area where your clergy service record and your years of service come into play. The pre-82 benefit will be a lifetime benefit payable to you, and you'll hear about you and your spouse as well. But we have the two calculations, this defined benefit service money, that DBSM that you saw on the screen. That's an account balance that we run through the annuity program and determine an amount of lifetime annuity. But we also have the formula benefit. Here, the formula benefit is your pre-82 years of service. So the pre-82 years of service, just that time frame, times a past service rate. Each annual conference determines its own past service rate, and an annual conference of each year it's looked at again, and oftentimes increases are provided in that past service rate. So we have these two things that we're looking at, and we're calculating and determining the amount of benefit for you. So the top example there is the formula benefit. And it's just an example. We have 3 years of service. The past service rate in this particular annual conference is $750. We multiply that together, we get to $2,250 divided by 12, $187.50. But that defined benefit service money, that account that went in, it's been sitting there invested in Wespath funds the entire time, gaining and earning over time. It's a great story of the time value of money and compounding. It's gone up to a point of now it's $75,000 in our example. We convert that to an annual benefit amount of $3,750, divide that by 12, and that derives the benefit of $312.50. You don't have to make any determination as to what benefit you're going to receive. We'll make that determination for you and always give you the higher of the two benefits. If the formula benefit now, and we do recalculate every year what the formula benefit is with the new past service rate, if the formula benefit is below that DBSM, but over time increases above that DBSM, that $312.50, we will switch it over and provide you with that amount. So each year we're looking at it, determining which is the greater of the two amounts and providing that amount to you. It gets paid as a benefit for you for life. Here, it's a single life annuity. There's no refund, you pass. There's no further benefit to anyone. There's no 5 or 10 year period service, a single life annuity. Benefit ceases upon your death. But if you're married, it is a life and survivorship annuity. And again, your annual conference will determine the amount of benefits that the amount of the survivor benefit will be. It can be 70%, 75, 85, 100%. We see it across the spectrum. And that will happen, so that will happen for you and your spouse throughout the remainder of your life if you're receiving a pre-82 benefit and you are married. At this time, I will transfer this over to Todd. And before Todd gets started, is there any questions that you want to share? Have me answer, you answer, or just have me clarify anything that I reviewed.
Hi, Frank.
Were there any questions that came through? I kind of went through that without stopping. I just got on a roll.
We had one question, but I answered that in the question box.
Okay.
So
and you are now the presenter?
I am the presenter.
All right.
Let's see. And you're able to see my screen and just my screen, just my slide?
Yes, I saw that and you moved it. Yep.
Perfect. So we're still good?
Yep. You do the move again. Yep. Very good. Yep.
Perfect. Thank you. Let me minimize my. There we go. Okay, everyone, let's chat a little bit more about your account balances. Those account balances provide options. And Frank talked about that a little bit earlier, that I would clarify that, and what you have are options. The options for all the account balances are pretty much the same. And just to review, there's an account balance associated with CRSP. So CRSP has two benefits: that defined benefit that provides that lifelong monthly payment, that annuity payment Frank talked about, offering security. The defined contribution account, or DC, that offers flexibility. That account balance built up over time based on that contribution from your employer, 2% non-match, and then a 1% match if you're contributing at least 1% to UMPIP. Then with MPP, Ministerial Pension Plan, that's an account balance until you annuitize that 65%. The remaining 35% is an account balance, again, offering that flexibility. You can, with the account balances, you can roll them CRSP DC, you can roll your MPP 35% into UMPIP, and then take a distribution. You could take a partial distribution. So you could take out 5,000, 10,000, maybe update the kitchen, maybe fix the roof, maybe go on that vacation. That choice and that flexibility is there for you. Frank also talked about the ability to roll it out, roll it into another retirement plan. And he definitely cautioned everyone to understand what that does to your housing allowance exclusion and whether or not you'll lose it with those funds. Definitely a great conversation to have with EY. The other account balance that you have available is your UMPIP account. Sometimes this is called the voluntary plan. So UMPIP is a defined contribution plan. Frank, Cheryl, and myself as Wespath employees, this is also our plan. So like your contributions from your paycheck, our contributions from our paycheck also go into UMPIP. So that is a defined contribution plan. It will accept contributions from employers and from participants. And you could determine how you wanted to contribute. It could be a straight percentage, 1%, 5%, 10%. That's up to you. Or it could be a dollar amount, $50 a month, $100 a month, $500 a month. That's up to you. I like the idea of contributing on a percent basis, because when you do receive a raise and you are contributing on a percent basis, you'll automatically have more go into that account because your salary is higher, your compensation is higher. And then with you also have the ability to decide how your money is invested. So you could self-manage your investments. That means you pick your funds and you determine how your contributions go into those funds. And that's great. That works for some people. Other people like myself are in life stage investment management. That places your account on autopilot. So what that does, that picks the funds for you and then allocates your contributions to those funds over time. Life stage investment management can be used in active service and also in retirement, and it's available to you at no additional cost. There are 4 ways to contribute to UMPIP in active service. Most clergy, and like myself, are contributing on a before tax basis. A before tax basis decreases the amount of tax that you pay. You can also contribute on an after-tax basis, on a Roth. A Roth is also a form of after-tax, and then a rollover. So a rollover is essentially just moving your prior employer's retirement plan into your UMPIP. And Cheryl is actually one of the folks who, she's producing the call today. She is actually one of she is the rollover specialist here at Wespath. So if you're looking to do the rollover, you complete the incoming rollover form. That form is available in your benefits access account. You'd complete that form, send it back to Wespath, and that would get processed and rolled in. I did that a couple of summers ago. I had a plan from a prior employer. I worked at the University of Illinois Chicago, and I rolled that into UMPIP. Very seamless, easy to do, and that reduced the amount of paperwork that I had to look at each quarter, because you'd want to review your quarterly statements and make sure that you're on track. So the idea with the rollover is that they are portable. You could take that money with you, and it's IRS accepted plans, qualified plans. That includes 401k, 403b, and 457b. I apologize for the numerical soup there, but it's those types of plans. But you can also roll a traditional IRA into your UMPIP account. The contribution limits for 2022 is a big number. It's huge. It's $20,500. If you're over the age of 50, you can contribute an additional $6,500 in catch-up funds for a total of $27,000 in combined Roth and before tax. When you take a distribution, so here are your distribution options for retired participants. You can leave on account until required minimum distribution. So if you don't need the money when you retire, you don't need to begin taking a distribution from your account balances. I know that sounds kind of odd. The purpose of all these plans is to replace your retirement income. But should you have a source of other income, you don't need to just begin these just because you're retired. So that required minimum distribution age is now 72, and I have a more precise definition of that in a little bit. For the retirement, you could take that distribution of full lump sum, so you'd roll it all out, have to throw the caution in there to understand what happens to that money with regards to the housing allowance exclusion. You could take a partial lump sum, 5,000, 10,000, like I mentioned, fix the roof, go on the vacation, buy the pool, whatever. Your other option would then be to take a cash installment, and this means receiving cash on a monthly basis. And your first option is that you can tell Wespath how much you need, and that again is called self-managed. You could tell Wespath I need 500 or I need 1,000 or 1,500. Whatever that number is, you'd follow through that stepwise process. I believe Frank mentioned that your benefit choices, your retirement benefit choices, are made in Benefits Access. So you'd actually make that choice in Benefits Access. There's a path to self-manage those distributions. Another option would be to use life stage retirement income. And what that does is calculates a monthly payment for you. And then the goal is to try to make that account balance last a lifetime and to provide an annual increase in your monthly payment. So it's designed to try to maximize that account balance. Because it's an account balance, there's no guarantee. It's not guaranteed like the CRSP Defined Benefit or the MPP annuity, but we are allowed to say that it does offer excellent probability in a payment lasting a lifetime. And with all the account balances, any remaining balance upon the clergy person's passing will be transferred to beneficiaries. So the definition, the IRS definition of required minimum distribution is to begin no later than the April 1st of the following year after the participant turns 72. Don't worry if you are in a situation where you're not taking those distributions. Wespath will help keep track of that for you. That required minimum distribution is or applies to all the account balances, UMPIP, CRSP DC, and that 35% of the Ministerial Pension Plan. Once you begin taking RMDs, you'll need to continue to take RMDs, and that required minimum distribution payment, subsequent RMDs, are calculated based off of that December 31st balance. If you haven't begun the other benefits, pre-82, the CRSP Defined Benefit, or the MPP annuity, you'll also need to begin taking those benefits at that time. I used to make a joke that if you had difficulty sleeping, you could pull down IRS publication 590 for more details on RMDs. I went and I read it, and it was actually well written, and it wasn't as dry as I thought it would be. So I no longer use that that joke. But if you're looking for more information, you can take a look there. If you don't want to do that and you're still interested in learning more, I would definitely recommend EY. They can help you walk through what that looks like. They are a wonderful resource, and I've used them a number of times as well. So if you decide to take a full or partial distribution, Wespath is required to withhold by the IRS. We're required to withhold 20% on a partial or full distribution. And that's not a penalty, that's actually prepaying your taxes. For RMDs, we're required to withhold 10% of that distribution. Each year, you will receive a 1099 from Wespath, 1099-R, that will show how much you received from Wespath during that period of time, and then it'll also show what was withheld. So you'll have that all in that one document. When you select your benefits, and when you select your monthly benefits, like the annuities, you have the ability to decide if you want Wespath to withhold federal taxes on your monthly distributions as well. And I have to say that selecting your benefits in Benefits Access is a very easy stepwise process. And then if you need help, we can definitely provide that support, and so can the retirement team at Wespath. So let's talk a little bit more about life stage retirement income. So life stage retirement income is really designed to do three things. And this year, there were two optional features added. Life stage predates me, so I've been here at Wespath for about 10 years or so. And life stage retirement income is that optional feature that will help manage that income from your defined contribution accounts. So there's no additional fee to you to use it. You can opt in or out at any time. And what it does, it calculates that first thing it does, it calculates that payment in a safety zone. Retirees can tend to gravitate toward two habits. And the one habit is you take the money out too quickly. And if you take the money out too quickly, that account balance could reach zero, and then you'll no longer receive that income in retirement. That's not good. The other habit is taking the money out too slowly, and maybe you stop doing the things that you enjoy, and you stop doing the things that you really could have afforded, but you didn't know how much you could take out. So life stage, that first thing it does, it calculates that monthly payment in a safety zone with a goal of trying to make that account balance, of trying to make that payment last a lifetime, as well as the survivor's lifetime. And then also providing a monthly or an annual adjustment up, similar to the cost of living adjustment with the defined benefits. Based on market conditions, that might not be possible in a given year, but we are allowed to say that it does offer excellent probability of a payment lasting a lifetime. So when you use life stage retirement income, that account balance is then managed using life stage investment management. That places the management of that account on autopilot. Here we see that it talks about providing, the goal is to provide an annual cost of living adjustment. Each November, your new payment is calculated, and then you're notified in December, and then beginning in January, that's when that new payment would begin. There are two new features available that I'll talk about in the next slide, next couple of slides. And for those folks, for those retirees or clergy that are retiring this year, you'll have the ability to use some advanced modeling to see what works for you, to see how much you wanted to commit to that life stage retirement income payment. So the two new features, additional optional features include a Social Security bridge and the ability to purchase a longevity income protection. Sometimes it's referred to as a QLAC, or Qualified Longevity Annuity Contract. And the modeling for both of these is available in Benefits Access for those who are retiring this summer, this July 1. So with the Social Security bridge, what we're trying to do is build a bridge using your account balances at Wespath for you to defer taking your Social Security. So let's say deferring your Social Security from a full retirement age of 67, and deferring it until 70. What'll happen is you will receive the amount of Social Security income you would have received from Social Security from your life stage retirement income payment. You just tell us what you need from life stage retirement income to replace your Social Security, and you'll receive that amount as an account balance distribution. If your retirement age is 67, full retirement age is 67, the way Social Security works is that if you defer it, you'll receive 8% more for each year you defer it up to the age of 70. So that's an 8% increase each of those 3 years. That increase ends at the age of 70. There's no additional benefit beyond 70, but you don't have to wait until 70. You can actually begin it at 68 or 69. That's up to you. Once you begin receiving your Social Security benefits, we will level down or bring down the amount that you receive from life stage retirement income. And I have a graph that'll demonstrate this piece, the Social Security bridge, and it'll also demonstrate this piece, which is the second option, and that's to purchase the longevity income protection. So this will provide a steady stream of income for the later years in retirement. So you have the ability, for those who are retiring this July 1, you have the ability to purchase that this summer, this spring, before you retire, and then that income will begin at the age of 80. Once that income starts, the amount you receive from life stage retirement income is then leveled down to protect that balance, or to keep that account balance there for you in the long haul. The longevity income protection, or the annuity, is actually purchased from an insurance company called Pacific Life, a well-regarded insurance company. So let's see if I can get this to work. Okay, good. So this visual will include using both the Social Security bridge and the longevity income protection. And what we see here, you're in retirement, you'll see the large teal box, that's your life stage payment. Now you'll also have the other benefits available, right? You'll have your CRSP Defined Benefit monthly payment. You'll also have the MPP annuity. So this is just that life stage payment, just the cash account payment. So this would be from the early years from 67 to 70. Once you begin Social Security, once you begin Social Security, you'll see that then comes in. That benefit is higher because you've delayed that, and every year you delay taking Social Security or defer, that benefit increases. And that's in the blue box. And then down in the teal, you'll see that reliance, or that payment from life stage retirement income, has decreased. The next step, there we go. The next step begins at 80. So there you'll see Social Security is still available. There's another blue box there called longevity income. That's now kicked in, and then the amount from life stage retirement income has decreased. So the goal of the life stage retirement income is to optimize your lifetime income from those account balances. So it's important to understand how much you can take out of your retirement accounts. Retirees can take it, can have those two tendencies where they may take it out too quickly or they take it out too slowly. The goal of life stage retirement income is to make that account balance last a lifetime, as well as to provide an increase in your payment each year. Based on market performance, a decrease is possible, but it will give you a high probability of a payment lasting a lifetime. The advanced modeling tool is available now for the retirees, for the individuals who are going to retire this July 1. You'll have access through your benefits access account. You'll actually navigate to the gentleman with the glasses, click that link. That will take you to the benefit selection section where you'll select your annuity types, your COLAs that Frank talked about, and then you'll scroll to the bottom and you'll see the ability to get into the life stage retirement income and take a look. And in describing this and showing this to a number of clergy this spring during the benefit consultations, I always like to tell them that that first part is a worksheet. So it allows you to figure things out, determine how much you want to commit to life stage. And then that last piece is the actual review and enrollment. That's where you actually enroll in it. Everything above that is a worksheet where you can play around with the numbers, enter different amounts. And that's where it'll demonstrate how to fund the life stage. You could figure out how much you wanted to put in. You can model the life stage, you can model the Social Security bridge, and you can also model that longevity income protection. So it's a wonderful tool, and it's available to those who are retiring this July 1. So we have some action steps, and the first would be, if you haven't already, would be to create that My Social Security account at ssa.gov. My understanding is if you haven't done so already, it takes a little while. So have some time set aside, maybe half an hour, make a cup of tea and get your paperwork together, and you could set that up, because that will tell you, that'll give you an estimate of what your Social Security is. And that number is important because you'll use that in the modeling. Next would be to review your life stage investment management profile. You do that in Benefits Access. Take a look at all of your sources of retirement income. You might have an IRA outside of Wespath. You might have, your spouse might have retirement income coming in that's not associated with Wespath. So understand all the different sources of that retirement income. EY is wonderful. I once had a participant in a consultation ask me if I was paid based on the number of times I recommended EY and talked positively about EY, and the answer is no, I don't. But it is wonderful. I've used it probably half a dozen times this last spring, and I've actually used it for clergy when they've had a question and I wasn't sure. I presented in Missouri annual conference back in April, and I had a clergy person ask about the housing allowance exclusion. The question that they asked, I knew the answer to, but I also said, where can I go to get that answer? And two people in the back, very attentive, said EY. So I'm like, well, let's take a break because we're about due for a break. Let's take a break. I'll call EY and I'll come back with the answer. And very quick, very easy to use. I have their phone number and their website later in the slide deck. Frank, do we have any questions?
No, Todd, none have come in. Doing great.
Perfect. So now let's move on to the housing allowance exclusion. The housing allowance exclusion is a wonderful tax break, and it's available to retired clergy, not just from the UMC, but other denominations. And it allows you to exclude income in retirement from federal taxes. And I know everybody is thinking, how much income can I exclude, Todd? And that depends. It depends on the worksheet. It depends on these three scenarios. You'll actually go through these three scenarios each year. For those who are retiring this year, you could use the housing allowance from July 1 through the end of the year, and then for all of 2023 and beyond. I have to start out with saying you'll do all three, and what you can exclude is the least of these three scenarios or these three items. The first is easy. You'll find this out from your annual conference, from the ledger, and it's the amount that has been passed by resolution designating the housing allowance. I've only heard of annual conferences designated 100%, meaning 100% of what you receive from Wespath can be excluded. Couldn't be a better way to start. However, we need to do items 2 and 3. That second one is what you've actually expended for housing, but that's a long list of items. So that's this is for your primary residence. That's rent payments, mortgage, principal payments, interest payments, property taxes, maintenance expenses, utilities, furnishings. You can even keep track of Windex and paper towels. So that would all add up on what you expended to live there. And then the third piece is fair rental value of your housing. And again, this is for your primary residence. And this is what your home would rent for that period of time. So for this year, retiring this year, that would be July 1 through the end of the year. And you could work with a local real estate person to come up with some comparables, and they'll provide a document that says your home will rent for this amount, including furnishings and utilities. And then you just pick the lower or the least of those three, and that's what can be excluded from taxes. Here's what the form looks like. This is also located in the documents or handouts section on the GoToWebinar dashboard. So if you click that arrow, that little triangle pointing to the right, it'll expand that section, and then you can download those materials, and in this case, the housing allowance exclusion worksheet. It looks like an IRS form, but Wespath actually put it together. So let's do a quick and easy scenario. So in this example, the clergy person is retired. They receive $24,000 in pension from Wespath. Now that pension includes the CRSP DB, your MPP annuity, also includes that cash account or the LSRI payments. Okay, so all of that. In this case, they received $24,000, 100% was designated. Then they made a bona fide attempt to keep track of all of their housing expenses and came up with a round number of $20,000. They worked with a local realtor to find out that their home would rent for $21,000 for that period of time, including furnishings and utilities. Well, we know that the housing allowance exclusion cannot exceed the lowest number. So that's $20,000. Now we do some easy math. So we take $20,000, and we subtract that from the amount you received from Wespath. That remains, what remains is $4,000. So what you're taxed on for this period of time, in this example, is $4,000 instead of $24,000. So a wonderful tax break. EY also understands the housing allowance exclusion, so they would love to talk to you about that and answer any questions that you might have. The housing allowance is available to retired clergy. This is in your retired status with your annual conference. It is not applicable or transferable to the surviving spouse, unless, of course, the surviving spouse is also retired clergy. There's a note on the back that talks about why you excluded income on your 1040 form, and mentions that you are entitled to it because you're UMC clergy, retired clergy, so you can include that on there when you submit that. So the next piece, we like to, in the retirement webinars, talk about the retirement benefit projection. And the retirement benefit projection you can run in or from Benefits Access. and it is a changeable estimate based on a number of factors, including the account growth, CRSP, MPP. There's an increase or assumed inflation for salary, the benefit commencement date. You can choose your benefit commencement date, and then you'll also can choose if you'd like to have life stage retirement income, calculate a monthly payment for you. When I run these for participants, I always suggest to do that because it'll give you an idea of a payment from that account. If you need less, you can always self-manage and add less. The benefit projection will print out this way. Lifetime income is at the top. That's the guaranteed income. Those are the annuity payments. That's the monthly guaranteed income, including pre-82. There's a subtotal for that. The account balances down below. This is using life stage retirement income. We'll provide a monthly payment, a subtotal there as well. And then there's an estimated income replacement ratio. This is listed at, I think, 74%, if I can read that. Ideally, so this doesn't include Social Security, so you can add about another 33% on top of that, which is good news. So in reality, this clergy person would be receiving more income in retirement than they would be working. That's a wonderful situation. So that is the benefit projection. We're coming up on time. The retirement income, so the first monthly payment will begin this year, July 22, on July 7th. It takes Wespath a couple of days, about 3 business days, to annuitize everything and get it all correct and set up and ready for distribution. So you'll receive your first distribution on July 7th. The July 4th holiday tends to impact that first payment date. That's why it's July 7th. Ongoing payments, you'll actually receive 2 payments per month. The first payment will be the annuity payment, and that's on the first business day of the month. The account balance payment, the cash installment payment, is deposited separately, and that'll happen on the second or third business day of the month. So 2 payments, and beginning on August, first business day is the annuity payments, second business day is the cash installment, second or third business day is the cash installment payments. We like to highlight that as a retired clergy person, you still have a retiree death benefit. The amounts for everyone on the call would be listed there. It's a flat amount showed under the retired January 1, 2013 and later. So there is still retirement, there's still death benefits in retirement. And now we get to talk about my favorite thing, EY. So EY, they used to be known as Ernst & Young, they shortened their name. Wespath has had a 15-year relationship with EY, going on 16, I believe. And they offer confidential professional financial counseling at no additional cost. It's unlimited hours, and their objective, they don't get paid based on the recommendations they make, they get paid a salary. So they, even if you have a financial person that you're working with, EY is an objective source, an objective opinion on your financial advice. There's no need to enroll. You can call that phone number. You can also create an account at wespath.eynavigate. Definitely well worth the five minutes that it takes to set that account up. Consultation topics, really nothing too big, nothing too small. Like I said, I made that call about, it was actually about the housing allowance exclusion. I just made that call during one of the webinars, but help on buying a home, I've used them to figure out the cost, the total cost of buying a car, leasing a car, what is best. Managing debt is a big one. You can also work with the same counselor, the same financial planner each time, so you can develop that relationship, build that relationship with him or her. We also will send this link out with the recording of the webinar today, and this is the link that you can use to set up a one-on-one consultation with a benefit educator. And you could see that our communications department has a sense of humor because they slid my ID picture into the laptop. So we will actually send out a GoToMeeting so that we can see each other. We secure the call so it's safe, and then we'll actually share your account and can answer many of your retirement questions. Action planning, so just a touch of homework. If you're not already registered for benefits access, please register as soon as you can. And then, as Frank mentioned, review your account for accuracy. Take a look at your spouse's information. Take a look at your life stage retirement income profile to make sure that still matches who you are. Call EY, register for EY Navigate, and then you can also set up a benefit education consultation. And I've actually met with, and I'm sure Frank has as well, met with retirees before they met with EY to come up with an action plan, to come up with some questions that they could ask EY. Here are a number of resources available to you. The retirement team works with each year's retirement class, so that's terrific. If you have trouble getting into benefits access, I would suggest Wespath Participant Solutions, and one more plug for EY Financial Planning Services at the bottom. We ran over about 2 minutes. I apologize for that. Thank you for hanging in there with us. We appreciate you. And if you have any questions, you can register for a consultation and we can get all of those answered for you. Have a wonderful day and thank you.